Okay, we're live. So what's going on, YouTube? So it's Christina and Martin here from Thrift Store Gold back at you with another live interview. So today we have Hustle Williams, known as Brian Williams, in the house. So say what's up, Brian.
What is going on, guys? Thank you for allowing me to be on your channel and to talk with you guys. I really appreciate this. Thank you.
Of course. So we're going to be asking him about his dropshipping business. We got 8 questions like usual, and he's gonna just getting the chat together. So it looks like we got Duncan in the house and then Gaming Lord. What's up? And yeah, let's jump into the first question.
Alrighty. So what was the reason that you started dropshipping?
All right. So the reason I started dropshipping was because I was following Gary Vaynerchuk, and he was getting in my head all day long, and he came up with the thrift store challenge. So I didn't actually start out dropshipping. I started with thrifting, and that's where my roots start out on. That's where I started on eBay. And I was fortunate enough to do pretty well with thrifting. So I had an app on my phone at the time that would tell me where all the hottest, well, not where the hottest products are, but what was hot selling items on eBay at that time. And I could gauge whether they were going to sell quickly or if the price was worth it for me to go buy the item. So I made a few purchases. One of the coolest items I was able to buy was a old school Popeye toy, vintage Popeye. And I was able to resell that. I bought it for $5 and I resold it for $60. So that was cool. I was doing that for a few months, and this guy, Andres Kreisberg's ads kept popping up on my feed because I guess searching eBay over and over again, going to Facebook Marketplace and looking at that caused all his ads to keep popping up. So when I did that, I decided, like, who is this guy? Like, he seemed like he was selling like millions of dollars like of product all the time, and I was intrigued by this. I was like, man, if this guy's doing it, like, I probably could figure it out. So I was fortunate enough to buy his course, and that's where I started learning about drop shipping. And I linked up with Tom Cormier a little later on and worked with him and learned from him on how to build a successful store.
That's awesome.
It's really awesome.
So that's really cool that you started with the thrifting and then moved into drop shipping, because that's kind of like something that we're kind of like in the works of.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's really good when you start out thrifting, because I think it just builds like that backbone. So like you just like understand eBay more, customer levels, like what an item is actually worth, like how to figure out the fees and everything. So I think that's awesome.
Yeah, because I feel like starting with the thrifting, that really helped us. But if we were to just jump right into drop shipping, we would have been like, what the heck is eBay? Like, what is going on? Would have been so confusing.
Yeah, it can be brutal, definitely.
Yeah.
So then we got question number 2.
Yep. What was the biggest obstacle that you faced during your drop shipping career?
Okay, so some of the biggest obstacles that I faced were, like, when you get into this business, you don't know how long it's going to be around. You say that people have been doing it for such a long time, but the internet is constantly changing, and so are the sites. And I know you've seen like brick and mortars go recently as well. So you have to be aware of an ever-changing environment. So what I mean by that is you have to be willing to change. This isn't going to be like a quick business model that just doesn't adjust. Like maybe a different kind of business model that you've been introduced to that's been stable for the past like 10 to 15 years. This is an ever-changing business model, and just as quickly as the internet changes, you have to be able to change with it. And that's hard for some people. And I didn't realize how quickly it changed until recently. So I am changing along with it now, but this is not the first time it changed on me. For the past year to 2 years that I have been drop shipping, it's changed about 3 or 4 times, and you've had to adjust with each business model. So they change, small increments can cause like big fluctuations within like how you're used to running a business model. So this is how it's changing. So that was overwhelming when I first started, and it happened within like 3 to 4 months after I first started going, and then happened again. So like it changes rapidly. So you have to be aware of that. Another thing that was pretty, I was nerve-wracked about was when a buyer got an item and it had the receipt inside of it, and I would be like, oh man, like I hope like they don't message me back and be like, why is this price like so high, or like why are you sending me this? So most of the time with the items that I sent out, I was fortunate enough to not have to deal with that case. It seemed like buyers just didn't really mind. They didn't really check, you know, the receipt that often. Like, I know when I get a box from Amazon, I really don't like double check on how much I paid, you know, like, which is weird to say because like you really should, but like I just didn't. I was just like, I got the item, like I knew how much money I paid for it at the time, like I was happy with it. The item's here, like I can use it now, so like that's how it went, and like most people were satisfied with it. I think over my whole, you know, experience drop shipping, it happened maybe 5 times that people were just like, you know, what is this? And I would come up with like a sheet that had all different responses towards different questions, so that whenever certain questions were asked over and over again, I already had a made response for each question.
Okay.
So, like, this helped big time. So like I knew what the customer was going to ask already because I had a pre-written statement based off of how many times that question came up. So I was able to go in and like, okay, why did this come with a receipt? Well, my company has a warehouse within this company that is able to like ship items out to you. And we do this because it offers us cheaper shipping, faster shipping, like, you know, different ways to word it to make it sound better. So that's what I was doing.
Okay.
That's really smart.
Yeah.
Especially
CANT,
definitely one of our like biggest like fears for starting it was that people are going to get upset over the receipts that they got with it. So
yeah, it actually, it turns out that like not that many people really mind it. So that's what I kind of found out.
That's crazy.
So before we start the next one, it looks like we got Bryant Willings in the house. Good to see you. And then IDS Lifestyle said, "What's up, Brian?"
What's up? What's up?
And then Chase Miller's in the house. What's up, Chase?
What's good, guys?
All right, but then question number 3, what were some of the things that pushed you to keep drop shipping?
All right, so some of the things that pushed me to keep drop shipping were by far the camaraderie that I was able to receive when I was in a bunch of these drop shipping groups. Like, it wasn't like so much about competition, like, oh, I'm beating such and such, or like I'm doing this much better than, you know, this person. It was more like, hey, here's my success that I, you know, have seen, and I want to show it with you guys. And it was just like motivating. It was just like, man, like this guy started off the same level as me, exactly had the same mindset as me, but just like continued to drive and continue to make it happen without like ever giving up. And that was just an incentive that just pushed me to just keep on pushing. And like, I'm happy that I never stopped. And like, one of the main things I have on my phone that like keeps me motivated, because it can definitely become daunting and lonely in the entrepreneurial like journey. So I have this quote, and it just says like, don't quit. So like every now and then I'll like turn on the screensaver on my phone and I'll read it and I'll be like, oh damn, like, you know, like you're thinking like you have a rough day and you're just like, like you look down at your phone and it's like, all right, like it's just a mental like reminder, like, yo, why you got into this, like just don't quit. Like there's always a way. Like if you gotta like relax for a little bit, just do it. Get your mind straight, go for a walk, and then come back to it, and you usually can figure it out. But like if you quit, like that's the end of it. So you don't quit until, you know, you can always try and figure a way out. So that's what it is.
Okay, that's awesome. Yeah, don't quit.
Yeah, don't quit. That's it. That's all it says.
It's a good quote to live by, especially in this kind of like business, I feel.
Yes.
All right. But question number 4 is, do you feel that drop shipping is something that anybody can get into?
It definitely is something that everybody can get into, but you have to go in with a mindset that the business model is going to be constantly changing. So things may get harder quicker. So you have to know that you have to adjust. It's not like a business model that's going to stay the same for year after year. Like I said, with eBay right now, they are making a lot of changes right now to improve the customer experience, which is fine. But like my whole idea around what's happening right now, and I think you're going to start seeing this in the future. So like what I did, I recently, like I'm good friends with Paul J. Lipsky, Two Dudes Crew, who run their Amazon course. Who are awesome. Tyler, Dropship Tyler, Tom Cormier, like I know them all like personally on like a personal basis. Like I call them all the time. They're some of my good friends. Anthony Estrella's up there. Ty, I talk to Ty a lot. So a lot of these big name guys who are in drop shipping, and like some of the things that you have to be aware of are how fast things change. So that is one of the things that I would be aware of. So what I'm trying to say is that I think right now with what's going on with the e-commerce world is that these stores that were once stores are realizing that they're now malls. And what I mean by that is that Walmart in the future, in my mind, is going to be a mall. So you have a mall wherever you are, but you're not, I don't think people are realizing it as what it's going to be. And you'll see it now because Walmart offers private label companies to sell on their online site. And Amazon does as well, and so does eBay. So what would be the smart move if I were a company like eBay, Walmart, and Amazon is to now sell retail space within your giant store. And I think that is what is going to happen. You're going to see a lot of these brick and mortar stores start to like dissipate a little bit. But if they're smart, they would buy up real estate within Amazon, eBay, and Walmart, and a lot of these other big marketplaces that are dominating the internet, because I feel like that's where retail is going to start to go. So like you will shop at a store through Amazon's website, but it's a store built into Amazon. That's what I'm thinking is going to be the way that it's going to go.
Yeah. So just like stores on stores on stores, basically.
Exactly. So yeah, like Inception, like a dream inside of a dream and dream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely can see it like it getting to that point because that really is where it's going, like on the internet side. So
yeah,
I think that's what it seems like, because like if I was a business. And I remember watching some McDonald's back in the day when McDonald's was just starting up, and they would sell or they'd rent out the ground that McDonald's was placed on, so that they'd get money from the revenue that the McDonald's corporation was actually renting out, and they became one of the biggest property holders. So if you think about it on like a business level, it'd be smart for Amazon to rent out retail space, charge for that retail space within their store, and still make a profit on top of that. So I feel like that's something that may happen in the future. That's just my mind. I don't know. I'm just thinking.
Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense.
Even here, though, in San Jose, there's actually a couple of Amazon stores that we've been to. There's like a bookstore, and then there was just like Amazon kiosks in the mall and stuff.
It's crazy.
It's already coming almost, me.
Yeah.
It was cool to see those. But let's see. Question number 5 is, what were some of the things that drop shipping has given to you, like vacations and freedoms?
So I actually just got married in August. So yeah, so it actually helped pay for part of my wedding. So another main reason I got started with this was like, oh man, like I had a wedding coming up, and like my wife wanted to, like, you know, it wasn't too crazy, but it was a decent sized wedding. You know, it cost a little pretty penny, and we didn't have all the money saved up, but I was busting my butt, like just working like my 9 to 5 and just trying to figure out different ways to like accrue like some extra capital just so I could pay for this. Right. So I started drop shipping, and then, like I said, like, you know, I'll make an investment and like, we'll see how it works out. And I'm like, you know, a few months in, it's like, it's pulling in a little bit. And then finally, in the month of August to September was actually when I did my biggest sales ever. I did $125,000 in 1 month on eBay. Yeah, it was pretty crazy. So I was running 2 stores at a time. One did over 100,000, and the other one did like 20,000. And I was able to take out like about $4 to $5 grand, and like I used some of that to put towards my wedding. So it actually worked out pretty good.
Nice.
That's really
awesome. All right. So, Reseller King just said hello, everyone.
Hey, Reseller King.
What up? What's good?
Number 6 is, was there ever a point where you wanted to quit drop shipping?
Yes, definitely. So I think it just comes in everybody's it takes a lot of guts and commitment to do this kind of stuff. And like, not everybody is going to be supportive. So like, you have to, I think there's a picture that I saw the other day, and it's this scientist, and he's got like this new idea that he's trying to get across, and like, it's just him running through on a road, and like everybody around him, there's other scientists, there's people who are labeled as like your family and friends and everybody's got like a knife or a sword or like a dagger around them, like ready to like sabotage your idea and tell you like it's impossible. But like, in your mind, you have to just keep constantly realizing like what you're doing, why you started this. Like, it's not a crazy idea, and you're trying to better yourself, so you just got to keep going towards it. So what I mean by that is, like, when we're on this entrepreneurial journey, roadblocks are going to happen. Okay. Like, like Gary Vaynerchuk says, you have to realize you're a firefighter, and you're constantly putting out fires. Like I said, like this business model is ever changing. Within the first like 4 months, it changed. Like when I was doing it, then another 4 months it came, then another 4 months. So like, I had to adjust and like make adjustments. So like, at one point, I don't know if you guys realize this, or I'm sure you guys have seen it, but we've had eBay, who has also added like the new feature for the 4% markups on categories now that have high return rates. So like, as a drop shipper, like, you constantly sometimes have like return rates that come like more frequently than other things, right? Yeah. So I got hit with those 4% fees now, as opposed to like when I first started, like that wasn't a big issue. So we had to make an adjustment. So like, we had to contact every single buyer, and I had to make a new canned response. So every time that a buyer opened up a return case, I'd ask them to use a return reason, like such as I didn't like the item, so that it wouldn't hurt my metrics and reduce the chance of having that 4% fee. So that's how we combated that. And eventually, over time, after it was up on 4% in like 3 or 4 of my categories, I got it down to like 1 to nothing. So like, that's what I mean by being a firefighter, and like being like, oh my God, like what is going on right now? Having to make those changes and like adjusting. So like, every like 4 months or so, something happens, but you just got to be ready to adapt, understand that it's changing, and just don't give up. Go out for a walk, chill out for a minute, come back to it.
Just clear your head. Yeah.
That's all you got to do.
Yeah. That's awesome.
It's very smart. Number 7 is, what were some of your intentions when you started drop shipping?
So when I started drop shipping, like, I haven't accomplished my main goal yet, but my main goal would be to switch from having a 9 to 5 to being able to do this full time, or just make a decent enough living from it where I could enjoy most of my day and just work from home and just have more time. Some things that I wanted from it were to, like, my wife used to work a lot of weekends, so I had a week job and I had off on the weekends, so it'd be like a constant like, oh, I got to run here, she's got to go there.
Yeah.
And it gets tiring over a while, so like, I tried many different avenues to try and make more time so that we had that time together. So I started doing that, and I started figuring out like, well, I want to travel more. I haven't been able to like go anywhere or see a lot of different things before. So I figured another good way to do that would be by creating an online e-commerce, site, or a way to make money online, so that I could do that too. So those were some of my reasons.
That's pretty awesome. So pretty much just to be like free and everything, and just
exactly.
Yeah. That's pretty much what we're looking forward to as well.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, like, to be honest, like, I'm not worried about making $1 million, but like, I do enjoy the freedom, because like, I don't want to have to be strapped down to one place and like have to go in there and just be like, oh my God, like, I hate coming here. I don't want to do this anymore. I'd like to go travel. And like, that's my main mindset. If I make $1 million, then I make $1 million. But like, just having that ability to travel and go is like, I think it's a lot more enjoying. Your life is a lot more enjoying.
Yeah.
So that's how I feel about it.
For sure. And I'm trying to quit my job eventually too someday.
I know. Don't rush it. That's like my number one thing. Like, just work up to stability, because I'm doing the same thing. I have a pretty decent job right now, and like, I'm just working towards stability. So it'll take some time. So just keep working at it.
Yep,
Yeah.
for sure. That's what I just keep thinking. Like, eventually one day it'll be time for me to quit.
Don't. Oh, there's another quote real quick. Don't rush the process. Trust the process. Like,
Yeah.
and like you have to say it over and over again to like make sense, because you're like, oh, this should have happened yesterday, but
Yeah.
it takes time, like over and over again. So
I like that. Don't rush the process. Trust the process.
It's nice. All right, and then our final question for you is, what was the most expensive thing that you have ever drop shipped?
Oh man, I'm trying to think. Like, okay, so I got two answers for this. Okay, so the really cool thing, it wasn't drop shipped, but I was approached by my dad's friend because I was pretty good at selling things. So one of the first things I ever sold on eBay, not one of the first things I sold on eBay, but one of the biggest items I sold on eBay, I was working for a tow company, and the tow company had my dad introduced me to him, and he's like, my dad was like, oh, you're just gonna sell like grills and like headlights and like, you know, like bumpers and stuff like that. And I was like, yeah, sure. You know, like I'm not a huge car guy. Like I love cars, but like I couldn't tell you like that much about them. So we go in, and I love cars, but like I just don't know too much about them. That's just not me. Yeah. So like my dad was like a huge car guy growing up, and then like he had known like a bunch of buddies who were into towing. So my dad introduces me to this guy. He's got his own tow company. And the first thing he asked me to do is to go in and sell a wrecker for him. So like a wrecker is like a giant tow truck that's used to like pick up cars who've gotten into accidents and everything else like that. So this thing was humongous. It was $85,000, and I actually sold it on eBay within 1 week. So
Wow.
yeah, so I made like $4,000 off of that, and I was able to move it on eBay, and it was pretty crazy. I sold it to a couple of guys based out of Miami who had never even driven a tow truck. So I swear, I kid you not, it was like the weirdest story ever. They fly up, they come to the office in New York, and they go in there and they're talking to my boss, and like they're discussing all the paperwork. They had all the money and everything, but they had really never driven a truck like that. And I was like, oh my God, like you guys are killing me right now. Like seriously, like you guys just bought this $85,000 truck, and like we just sold it to you, and you got to get it back. And we were just like, whatever, it's out of our hands now. So they got it back, but it was crazy. Yeah, that was one of the biggest items I had ever sold on eBay. So, and then for drop shipping, I think it just comes down to like I've sold a couple of computers that are worth like $600 like every once in a while. So those are pretty good profits. They can generate up to like $40-$50 profits and stuff. So not too big. And that's another thing, like on the drop shipping, the margins are a lot slimmer. But over time, like with more that you sell, the margins increase. So
Okay. That's good.
so that's it.
Yeah. Well, thank you for answering all those questions. I think you did really great, really well.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you guys for having me on your channel and everything.
Yeah. Let's go through the chat really quick before we end this.
Sure.
Let's see. Well, we had Carrie Berry in here. She said hi and bye. She had to go get dinner ready.
Glad you can make it really quick.
Anthony Mora is our Facebook executive chef.
Hey, Anthony.
He got to stay in the kitchen to come see us.
That's awesome.
Bryant Willing said he'll watch us later. He's got to go. Bye.
Well, when you're rewatching this, what's up again, Brian?
Reseller King said to you actually that you had an awesome goal and to keep at it.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, that's it. Just keep fighting. That's it.
Don't quit.
Don't ever
quit.
Duncan said, working from home, you may be free, but it's still tiring work. However, no boss, no wait. The wife is boss.
Right. Happy wife, happy life. Never forget that. That's all we got to go by, man. I'm telling you. Put a smile on your face, we'll get one right back. I'm telling you.
That's awesome.
Stu Pasco said, does making videos make people money or actually running a biz?
I mean, if you have enough people watching your videos, then yeah, you can make money. But for right now, just doing it.
Like YouTube, I'll jump in on that. Like on YouTube, if you put out great content and what you're saying is relevant and like you're trying to help people, of course, I think it definitely could. I like to generally only talk about like experiences that I've had and like, you know, ways and things that have worked for me. And I think that is the best way to like introduce that to people.
Yeah.
I think videos right now, especially on YouTube, like I know myself, like I'll put on a video when I'm in my car, and if it's like relevant to like what I'm like, you know, trying to accomplish. So me and my brother have this argument all the time. He works for Apple, okay? And like he's just like in the retail space, but he graduated with a chemistry degree and he hates chemistry. He's like he just does what he wants to do, and I admire that so much.
Yeah.
So what he does is he works for Apple, and he's like, I don't know. I think Apple's gotten into his head a little bit, but he'll always swear to me like, "Oh, iTunes is better than YouTube," and I'm like, "How? Like, you can use YouTube as like a video platform. You can also use it in your car when you're driving. You don't watch the video, but you can have the audio playing."
Yeah.
So like, what I'll do is I'll drive to work in the morning, and like I'll listen to like a motivational speaker, somebody to get me in the right mindset, because like you don't always wake up in the morning feeling like you're ready to tackle the day. So I feel like if you have like, it's almost like bringing a coach with you. So like, as long as you can find that platform and this guy's like, yo man, we got to get this today. Like, it's important. Like, we got to get this done. Like, we got to push it a little bit further than we pushed yesterday. We got to take this to the next level. Like, the next step, what needs to be done. So like, yeah, those kind of people I always try to keep around me. And that's like what I try to embody. So like, answering back to that question, of course, if you're talking about something that's relevant, that's like able to help people, of course, like there's a way to make money off of it. Is that our overall end goal? I don't think so, but like I just do this because like there's a way for me to help somebody out. Like, maybe I'm not going to help everybody out in the world, but you know, I can just reach out and show you what I know and what I've learned. Like, I'll show you my mistakes, so like you don't have to make those same mistakes too as well, and just be real and honest with people. So that's what I do it for.
Yeah, we started this to kind of document our journey, and then
to share with people.
To share, and then people are actually getting inspired and stuff and learning from us, which is like crazy because we didn't even expect that, because we're kind of still learning as we go.
Yeah, it takes a little bit to get out in front of a camera and to just talk your heart out, and like, you know, you give a piece of yourself every time you step in front of this camera. Like, you are just trying to show people like how real you are, what you're about, and what you're trying to do. Like, it takes a lot of courage. So I think people should like look at that as well. Like, it's not as easy as it looks. Like, if you could, you know, just sit in front of a camera and talk, it takes some practice.
Yeah, it does.
Not for her. She had it literally instantly.
No.
So like, for being like a guy, like, I don't know, I don't take pictures of myself all the time. I'm not like sitting, I'm not practicing in front of like, you know, talking to a camera. I don't know. My wife is the one who takes all like the pictures when we go on vacations, you know? So like, it's different for me. I'm not like, you know, like trying to be in front of a camera. So I don't know. I think it takes some courage. I admire how women just get up there and they just do it like it's no, you know, issue, you know? That's amazing. I wish I had that, like, you know, in me, but it took me some time.
Yeah, it definitely takes some getting used to.
Yeah.
But let's see. Back to the chat. Duncan said, so Martin, who is the boss there?
Yeah, probably KRISTINA, I guess.
But then IDS Lifestyle said, can you talk about how well your bulk method is working with Salesfreak?
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Okay. So what I want to drop on that, I do use Salesfreaks. I am actually gearing over towards more of a manual store. So like I said before, this platform is ever changing. You have to understand that. Okay. So I just got back from like this huge meetup in New York City. It was like top drop shippers, like 4 main speakers, like it was packed, like at least 100 people were there at this one, which is a pretty decent size. At the first one, there was like about 30 of them. And Paul J. Lipsky put it on, and like we're making these transitions to like change into the ever-changing market. So what happened now is a lot of the software, from what it seems like, there were 2 main theories that were happening with eBay dropshipping. One had to do with the thing that people started to realize is happening is there's been a throttling done on their store. And what I mean by that is they've reduced your rankings down lower. So like your items don't sell as well as they used to. And it's because like eBay is trying to make this more of a consumer marketplace. They got to make sure that their customers are happy first. So like I understand that. Most people understand that. Does it suck? Yes. It means that you have to change. You have to be willing to change. Okay, this is what I mean. You got to be a firefighter here. All right. So there's different avenues that we were checking on to see how they were making this change, right? So one of our software companies had, and this is TrackerBot, had developed a new way to deal with what people thought was a shipping issue. So what people were saying was because the item was coming from so many different locations, not from where you said it was. So like, let's say if you live in New York and somebody got an item that was shipped from California, how can that item be actually in New York at the time? You see what I'm saying? So like they thought that eBay was flagging and throttling accounts based off of shipping times. So a company developed a software to use for tracking, and we were able to upload that tracking, which wouldn't show where the item was shipped. And I tested that theory out for about 2 months. I haven't really seen that big of a change. Not saying it doesn't work, but it doesn't seem to have impacted the sales that much. Like it didn't seem to increase the prices. Okay. So other people tried another theory that went along with that. So what they did, they switched over and they started a manual store, which was disconnected from all software. And that seems to be running well. So what I'm saying right now is if you'd like to be ahead of the curve and at the mark where you think and you could see your business going to, would be to take on the business, take on the manual method. I'm working with it right now. I'm getting it started. It's going to take some time for me to get where I'd like to go. I will be putting out more videos on it because it's where I'm bringing myself. But this is the method that you have to start with. I love Salesfreak and I've been with them for a while. I just think that most software for eBay dropshipping right now is dealing with this eBay bug, if you want to call it, where they're just throttling sales. It's just to make their marketplace better for consumers. So to stay ahead of the curve, my overall suggestion would just be start a manual store. So that would be it.
All right. Yeah. Good to know.
Yeah, I see a lot of people coming in like saying to do manual instead of software now.
It just seems to be the way to go. Like, okay, so for instance, my store was doing over 100,000 in August before the throttling started coming in, and people said it came in April. I went under the radar and I built my store up to 125,000, 2 stores up. So 100,000 in like August, September time. And like the other one was just pushing over like 25,000, right? So all of a sudden, like all these changes came into place. My store was down to doing like 50,000. So that's half the amount with twice the amount of items. So what I'm trying to say is it'd be a smart move to stay a step ahead of the curve and work on the manual store. So this is an ever-changing market. And what you have to understand is the customer always comes first, and eBay understands that as well. So in order for eBay to stay relevant, they have to make sure their customers are happy. And the one way that they're doing that is they're listening to what their customer is saying, and they're not satisfied with a lot of these drop shippers who are doing things like, half-assed, like they're not doing things the correct way and they're not satisfying the end consumer. So eBay had to make those changes and put those new rules into place. So that's how they're combating it.
Okay. Yeah. That's crazy. Just how it's just crazy. Yeah.
It's crazy how it works, and it's crazy how it changes so much, and like how it could be so like everyone was doing like software like stores, I feel, and now like it's such a big switch over to like the manual dropshipping.
You just have to be within a business mindset, and I'm learning this. It's about speed. Speed is number one, but it's also about understanding and adapting. So you gotta understand what's going on. You have to, once you understand it, you have to adapt to that situation. And while you're adapting, your speed has to be there as well. Like you can't just sit and ponder. You need to take action. Like action is action over ambition. Like you may have the ambition to do something, but you need to take that action to make it happen. Like unless you take that action, it's not going to work. So it's understand the problem, have the I can't remember what the second one was, but it's like have the knowledge to see what's going on and then use your speed and adjust like as fast as you possibly can. Get it done, make the change.
Yeah, that's good. So you want to read some more of the chat? Looks like we got a lot more questions coming in.
Let's see. Stu just said, eBay told me they're going to start banning drop shippers. Their philosophy is you don't have it, you won't sell it.
That is not incorrect. However, with that being said, Amazon has also said the same thing, that they don't allow you to drop ship on their marketplace. However, there are tons of people on here, and I know tons of people who are still doing it to this day. So what that actually means, and we've read the terms of service like over with Paul J. Lipsky, who's also started out practicing as a lawyer. So he knows how to read these types of documents and how to read the fine print with inside the words. And it says inside the fine print, it says may start banning drop shipping. May is either they could or they could not. So you have to understand words. Linguistics is a very important term within the English dictionary, and it has to do with understanding words and what they mean. And the full meaning of that word is that they could take the action if they feel or they deem it as necessary. Does it mean that all drop shippers are going to be banned? No. Would they like them to have a reduction on their site, as we've seen? Yes. Is there ways around it? We're working on it. Like I said, we can do a manual store. Is this business still fruitful? I believe so, yes. Why would you get into it right now? It's one of the lowest hanging fruits on the trees. It's easy to get into. It's not that hard to get started. It's going to take time and it's going to take work, and you're going to get frustrated. But once you learn the rules and how the game is played, then you can possibly become profitable too, as long as you work hard at it. It's just like any other thing. Why would you get started? Because you have all the resources you could possibly need right now. You have YouTube, you have a bunch of major players out there, you have people like me who are still being successful, and it's still worth it because you can use that money to later build up to where you'd like to go or what you'd want to do. So that's what I still see in it.
That's awesome.
Let's see. Duncan said, my latest feedback, this seller is a credit to eBay. Wish they were all like this, above and beyond.
That's awesome. We all need it.
Yeah, that is. That's really good. Like, you should reach out to that seller or that buyer. Like, another good gesture would be to like message them and be like, hey, we appreciate your feedback so much. I'd like to offer you either a discount or like a reduction in your next purchase. And like what you could do is you can use a site, okay, like Ebates or another site like Mr. Rebates, depending on where you got your items from, and just offer them to sign up under you and give them like a 5% value back or something like that. Just something to reach out and show your appreciation. Even if you write a letter, like a handwritten letter to them and mail them out to it. Like, I personally have not done this, but I know if this gesture were to come to me, like I would feel so happy about it, and I'd be more inclined to go to that person's store and buy from them in the future. So like something that shows like, how personable, like you appreciate like their them buying from you, because that's helping support you. So like show them how much you care. Just show them a small gesture to make sure that they understand. Like, that is really important to me. Thank you.
Yeah, we should start doing that, giving them like a discount on their second purchase.
Yeah.
And there's ways to like look into it. Like, you don't got to break the bank, but like even like a 1% reduction, a 2% for being a loyal customer, like it goes a long way.
That's awesome.
It definitely does. But let's see. Claire Davidson said, yeah, it's really hard to break even on software costs with the throttle these days. Manual is the way to go.
Definitely, Claire. Definitely. Claire Davidson, I know she's a big drop shipper too. So, and I know it is definitely getting difficult with software. Trust me, I'm in the same boat. I'm doing the same thing. I'm fighting this fire along with you, girl. So I know how it goes.
Let's see. Reseller King said eBay flagged me as a dropshipper because I didn't bulk at that. They said it was a glitch in their system and took their power seller away, but they're working on getting it back.
Yeah. So one thing you got to understand about eBay reps is they like to tell you whatever they like to tell you. Everybody says something different. Like, I think I've called in like 5 or 6 times and everybody's had like a different response to everything. So like, that's one thing you have to be aware of. Don't listen to whatever they say. Like, they're only trained to like give you an answer to like keep you calm and to like make sure their business is still working. Just like I had a bunch of canned responses to give out to people who were asking the same questions over and over again. These people are trained to have the same kind of response when you're asking a certain question, okay? So what I would say to that, since your store has been flagged, your best bet And the way that people are mostly telling if their store is flagged, we've been doing promoted listings. And what we would do is we'd increase the price by 1%. So you do promoted listings and you add a 1%. So like when your item is shown and it sells, it's only a 1% taken off of your overall profit. Okay. So when you do that, your listings sell, it helps eBay. They're like promoting you, they're making extra money. But what we found is like after a while, eBay started pinning out drop shippers and reduced the amount of people who are seeing our items down dramatically. So we go to like 40 to like 60,000 views to like 10, 20, 30, sometimes 0. Like that's how we were able to see like what is going on with these sales. And they would just, it just, from all the statistics, like it just dropped like a straight mountain, and you could see it, and everybody had like the same drop almost at the same time. And we were just like, well, okay, they're obviously doing something. It wasn't a glitch. Like they just told people like, oh, it has to do with a computer algorithm. There's making a glitch. It's not a glitch. They're doing it on purpose. They know what they're doing. They're trying to improve their overall customer experience. And right now they just see a lot of drop shippers as a nuisance because a lot of people don't know how to do it correctly. So they're trying, it's a correction within the market right now. And you have to understand that. And you have to play by the rules that they're setting out. It doesn't mean like, you know, you got to get into an argument and be like, oh my God, this thing is not working anymore. Like it just changed. You have to be able to change with it. Like this is what comes with being an entrepreneur. Like the horse and buggy, like even though it's still around, is not the most predominant way to get around. You know what I'm saying? And there's cars, there's other types of transportation. Like things change. You have to be willing to take that change, like, and know that it will happen. Eventually there's going to be more changes, and you can't just like get frustrated and like be like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. You have to be able to think like this. Being an entrepreneur, you have to use your brain, and you have to use your speed and your talents, and like just make those adjustments. So that's why I'm saying go with that manual store. And what I would say is don't disconnect all your software from that one original store. I would say go out and create a second store. So attach it to everything that's the same, create a second store, and try and go manual that way. That's how I'm doing it. And I'm going to try and ride the wave that way. I'll document a lot of my journey as soon as I'm ready to like get out there and just show you guys. And I'll just, you know, try and ride the wave with you guys. That's the best that you can do, you know?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
All right. Well, I think that was it.
I think that's all the questions in the chat.
Yeah, and Duncan was just saying reselling is easier for him. You can control his own stock. And then Reseller King said, but the problem is he owns and takes all of his pictures and never drop ships anything. So I don't know why his store was flagged as a drop shipper, but
yeah, that's crazy. I don't know either.
All
right. Well, it looks like we're going to wrap it up. Thank you all for joining in and watching, staying with us for about 40 minutes. And then thank you, Brian, for coming on the channel. If you guys aren't already, I got Brian's channel linked in the description, so definitely go subscribe. And then for anybody rewatching, definitely go subscribe to his channel, because obviously he's got some great information. He puts out great content.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much, Martin and Christina, for having me on here. Like, I appreciate it so much, and like just, you know, helping me and let me be a part of your journey. And like, you guys are a part of mine too. If you guys ever have any questions, you want to like talk about something, don't feel free to hesitate, or like just hit me up. Like, I'm always available. I'll get right back to you. And
awesome.
I appreciate this so much, guys. This is really nice. Thank you.
Yeah, we really appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you so much. It was really nice actually talking to you.
Yes.
So
Gotcha.
All right, well, peace, guys.